Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. This is Daredevil. Joe and I are doing something a little different this time. We're back to the old setup with the Google Hangouts and such, and we're watching every episode of Daredevil. Not today. We're probably only doing this one and maybe another one. We're a little short on time, but we wanted to get the party started. And I'll shut up quickly because we're only doing 20-minute podcast shows. Do you think this is possible? Do you think I'll be able to keep my mouth shut?
This is going to be very difficult.
Very difficult. Okay. So if people don't know, Daredevil is back. Season 3 of Daredevil just dropped on Netflix last week. Joe was sick. Otherwise, we would have probably got to it a little sooner. And this first episode is, let's just get right into this. How come, the first question I want to ask you, Joe, is how come Daredevil is better than all the other shows? It's Daredevil right from the beginning of this show. I generally like Jessica Jones season 1 a lot. Punisher was really amazing, and Punisher's really fucking good too. But right from the beginning, Joe, I don't know about you, but where it's like a different quality level. The quality is stepped up a bit.
Did you watch the recap before you sat down to watch this?
No, I skipped it this time.
You did. Because that had a lot to do with getting me excited, was the Vincent D'Onofrio heavy, stuff going on. And I know he comes in at that last scene, but knowing that you were going to get more of him if you had watched.
Joe broke up there a little bit. We're doing this from your signal broke up a little bit for a second, but I think what you were trying to say in that moment, and you're back. But I got the same kind of feeling. Once we saw Vincent D'Onofrio, once we saw Kingpin back there, you get the realization that, holy shit, we're going to get another season of Kingpin as a major point. And that's something that's been missing in a lot of these seasons. He is such an amazing villain. And we've only seen one episode here. We have not cheated. But seeing him in the two or three scenes he was in this episode was perfect. He again raises the bar. As soon as you saw
like the omelet being made, as soon as you saw like the first and heard like the I was like, Fisk.
Yeah.
Very excited.
This is the kind of season it's gonna be. We're gonna be able to focus on him.
This guy's one of my favorite actors, hands down. From his role as Thor on.
Yeah. For Adventures of Babysitting. But I will also say, having not seen anything else further, the introduction at the end of the episode of what I assume is Bullseye was really well done. I like how he seems like such a normal person. We meet him in normal life. We automatically, not in an over heavy-handed way, in a really just kind of natural way, figure out his situation that he's in, why he's pissed off, why he's fucked. And then right at the right moment, it's time to go meet the Kingpin. Like the worst time in your life to go for a meeting with the fucking Kingpin is right at that moment where you're like, fuck the FBI.
You think he's Bullseye?
I don't know. Maybe. I got Bullseye vibes.
They got good reason. They did a good job getting a quick backup of all those things you just said. But could he be the catalyst to meeting Bullseye? I'll be happy if he is.
Possibly. I don't know. And this is where
what exactly do you mean? Like, so is he going to be like the super crack shot? Because it'd be hard to understand someone with skills that Bullseye would have being in a government agency and not being far beyond where he is, or have been recruited to some other government agency than, Special Agent FBI, being held back. Like, Bullseye's got some fucking specific skills that are hard to hide when you're out on the range. You know what I mean? Like, this guy didn't miss it. He creates the most intricate designs on his fucking target sheets.
Well,
beautiful renditions of Starry Night and shit, like with his bullets. Are you kidding me? Like, that's what you're talking about.
Whoever the fuck it was, I enjoyed his scenes and I enjoyed that lead up. And I think whether he ends up being Bullseye or leads us to Bullseye, I enjoyed that dynamic and I enjoyed seeing it. It almost felt like a different show for a moment in a good way. It created a different feel from we haven't started to talk about Matt Murdock yet, but from a difference between what Matt was going through this episode, which was amazing. This could be subtitled Daredevil gets the piss kicked out of him for most of this episode. I love how much he got his ass kicked.
That's one of the things. So we get the sense that he's been convalescing for a few months because she's been paying the rent, but she got caught behind on this month's rent. So we know it's been a few months, but they don't aside from if pulling that together, we don't get a good sense of him at least allowing himself to heal. He doesn't allow himself to heal, and he never does in any of these seasons. He just keeps going out there to take an ass kicking.
Joe, and I guess that's a question for the audience and moving forward in all of these. I don't think anyone else alive right now could play Daredevil as well as this guy does. He understands the character of Daredevil. His sardonic humor, the way he fucks up relationships, the way that at this point in his life he's now embraced it. I love how we didn't get the I don't want to be Daredevil again. We got I want to be Daredevil, but my powers aren't quite working. And the fact that what you just said, he won't give up. He just keeps going. He can't kick. I'll learn to punch more. I'll put myself out there when I shouldn't be out there. And he's such a stubborn fuck. And I love to see in Charlie Cox, is that his name? He plays this character so perfectly, as well as Vincent D'Onofrio plays the Kingpin. And he is the Kingpin. And both of them are cast.
His name's Chuck Cox.
Is it Chuck Cox? I'm ready to Chuck Cox in episode 2 in about 15 minutes.
I am Chuck Cox.
Okay, let's go in the live chat.
Please call me Charlie.
Chuck, please call me Charlie Cox. The dude is Daredevil. I can't see anyone as Daredevil. If they decide to ever bring Daredevil into any of the movies, I don't want them to flash this. And I know it's a different universe, but they need to use this guy. They need to use this guy, and I don't want to necessarily see a Daredevil movie. I think the series are fine. I just mean if they decide to ever use the character Daredevil again while this series exists in this universe, he needs to play this part. He has to. He kills it. And from the first scene when we see the nun kicking his ass, I love that whole interaction. Him with his Mickey, the nun.
Both the priest and the nun are the same. They're like, they're just so, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good stuff.
It's so good. Let's go into the live chat for a second. Funny. Broke said this is one of the best episodes because we get the least of Foggy or Karen. Joe, you're smiling like you may not have cheated, but I did, motherfuckers, about the episodes. So.
Oh no. No cheats.
So. Okay, so we didn't talk about Karen and Foggy yet. So I guess we can talk about Karen. We get one flashback kind of scene of Daredevil telling Karen he was Daredevil and a sort of a different spin on it. And then we get the scene with Foggy and Karen in Matt's apartment, and that they're keeping Matt's apartment. So I don't have much to say about Karen. I'm sure she's going to get annoying later. I'm sure Foggy's going to get ridiculous.
It's already annoying that she's doing that with his apartment.
I know he's alive, Joe. I feel it. I read the script. I know it.
Just the whole flashback of that shit. Did we need that? We had the recap. You put it all in the recap. You don't need to do that in the first fucking episode.
It confused me for a second, and I'm sure Foggy will get back to doing dumb, ridiculous, annoying things as well. So yeah. I can't wait for that. So moving forward. So here we are. We're doing pretty good on time here, Joe. We're zipping through this 10 minutes in, and I'm kind of already itching to watch the next episode because let's see what else. I mean, this episode really, what it did more than anything was wrap up everything from the Defenders and Daredevil season 2 and put everything into kind of a neat bow, and then set the scenes for who our important players are moving forward in this season. And I think the fact that we've had Wilson Fisk set forward as such an important part right from the beginning, I think bodes well for how much the Kingpin is in it. I did write a couple of notes, but we get an Electra comment right at the beginning, the aftermath, all that sort of stuff. I do have notes, Joe, but as you've known, I actually wrote them in my hand, so I can't actually ever read anything I wrote right now.
Nobody can ever read anything.
No, it's kind of useless right now. But
I've seen you translate the same poem 3 different ways to 4 different women.
Listen, sweet pants, I don't know. But so what are your overall feels? We'll start to wrap up our thoughts here. What are some of your overall thoughts about this episode and comparatively? Oh, I know what I want to talk about.
It was slow. I don't know. It was slow. I found myself a little bored, especially getting into the fucking Karen shit. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it slowed me right the fuck down and bummed me right the fuck out. But every moment Fisk was on screen, I was super excited. Every moment freaking Daredevil was swinging fists, I was excited. You know, so that being said, and the thing about the time healing process.
Yeah, that's my question. Like, how long do we need to have a time gap here for him to actually heal, or is he just going to get his ass kicked for the whole first half of the season until he works himself into shape? I have a feeling it's going to be the latter.
Well, it's already at least been a few months, right? The building fell a couple months ago, right?
Yep. So, but also, I guess I wanted to mention this. I like how the whole Daredevil getting his powers back in the montage sort of thing that we had together, but it wasn't a montage, scene after scene of him dealing with the nun and the priest and kind of trying to build back up. I like how we got the Paula Abdul of it all, the few steps forward, few steps back thing, because that's the reality of it. It wasn't just like the moment he could feel the subway system. Excuse me, he's 100% back. He's Daredevil. He's back. No, one hit to the air, he could fuck himself up. He wasn't 100%. He might not ever get 100% till he takes legitimate time to heal his body.
Those cochlears to heal.
Yeah, he's fucked. How many episodes are you and Joe doing today? I think we're just doing one more episode for sure because timing is short. We just wanted to get the ball rolling, so we'll be ending this.
He knew he wasn't going to be able to make me wait, and he wasn't going to be able to wait long to start watching. So we needed to at least get in a couple episodes. He's got a busy weekend, so we won't really have time to get into too many more. So if he can, basically, if Phil can hold off today,
I don't even want
a couple hours of downtime between he gets busy again in the early evening here.
Between this and wanting to play some Red Dead, I have a lot of shit to do here. Okay. So,
yeah, you got Red Dead to keep you distracted. There you go.
I did.
How are you enjoying the first? I know that's not on topic, but how are you enjoying the first? I saw a little bit of the pod.
We'll talk about that off air. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit.
Okay.
But pretty good so far. Like the first 3 hours that I played so far. So before we end things off here, and it's pretty cool because I feel like we talked about everything we need to do right here in about 15 minutes without recapping the entire episode. But basically, Daredevil, we discover him right from the point of after the Defenders. We see him nursing himself back to health and where he's been for a few months. We see Karen and Foggy dealing with his apartment. We see the Kingpin still in jail, trying to imagine himself back in the time where things made more sense. Then we move on to him basically dealing with the FBI and trying to be and them asking him all the time. We meet this FBI agent who's spent all of his money on his family and isn't getting a raise because he owes money or because he has too much of a horrible credit score. So he's too much of a target for people like Wilson Fisk to bribe. So he's not getting it, which is going to be very interesting considering he's going to go for a bribe for Wilson Fisk. Wilson Fisk, I think, or at least be extorted by Fisk in some way. You don't let the Kingpin into your house. And it basically ended with Vincent D'Onofrio when he found out that I'm blanking on what his Vanessa might be in trouble if she's ever found as an accessory. And right now she's hiding somewhere in Europe. And if she's ever found, she could be brought back if she's ever seen the United States. So he's looking to make a deal to give her some sort of immunity. And I guess that's basically our whole episode. But before we go any further, Joe, since we have a little 5-minute window here, what are your thoughts on both Iron Fist and Luke Cage both being canceled? And do you think this means Jessica Jones is going to be canceled too?
Jessica Jones is safe. She's not going anywhere. She's not being canceled.
Okay, so what are your feelings about Iron Fist and Luke Cage? Two different reasons why the shows were canceled from what I've heard.
I think it doesn't matter what reasons they gave for why they're canceled. I truly believe they wanted to lighten their load of Marvel shit right now. And they weren't going to axe Jessica Jones, which is arguably a better show than Luke Cage. Story-wise, character-wise, a lot of things. Reception from audiences, So I think they wanted to get rid of a couple of them, and they were like, the best way to do it, if we get rid of these two, they're already not doing more Defenders. That's done, right?
Yeah, not as and Disney's also launching their own streaming service, but I don't think either of those shows are going to be picked up over there.
No, neither one.
I think Iron Fist got canceled for obvious reasons. I heard there was creative differences with Luke Cage.
It sucked, dude. The Iron Fist just sucked. It was horrible casting from the beginning, and whatever good things that were there about it were not good enough to not make it suck and not make it unenjoyable.
Yeah, namely Colleen.
I couldn't even get through 2 episodes of season 2. I was like, this is just fucking stupid.
I actually watched the whole season, and there are some parts of it that get a little bit better that focus on Colleen. And that's all. Colleen is the best character on the show, and I want her to be added to the Punisher show and forget the Iron Fist. Have the Iron Fist disappear and add Colleen to the Punisher or something. I don't know. I just want to see her continuous or give her and Misty a show somewhere. But I agree. I think they need to narrow down the audience. You could do a Heroes from Hire mini series kind of thing, but not that it would be great. But you could possibly do that with Iron Fist and Luke together. Luke could show up on Jessica Jones if they continue to do that. All of them could show up on Daredevil if they decide to just have it be Daredevil, or they could just end things. I am glad Iron Fist is over. Put that thing out of its misery. Luke Cage, I would have been excited to see where it would have gone. I generally enjoyed the first 2 seasons of Luke Cage. I don't think they were necessarily on Daredevil.
The first couple episodes of Luke Cage season 2 either. There was something about it that really turned me off after episode 2, and I just never went back.
Yeah, fair enough. So it's not a problem anymore because both seasons are canceled, and that's it. But we are here on Daredevil, and Daredevil is awesome, and I can't wait to get into the second episode. So Joe and I are gonna X off here. X off here. We're gonna X off here. We're gonna end this podcast here, or end this little mini cast, and go watch episode 2 and come back out here for 20 more minutes or so of another cast, and then probably be on sometime next week to do like 6 episodes in a block, or like 4 to 6 episodes in a block, and then kind of work through it. You're like 6 now, probably like 4 episodes in a block.
6 sounds good.
6 sounds good. We'll see how early we start on one of the weekdays next week. So, okay, guys, we'll talk to you very soon. Imagine some music playing, bum bum bum, if you have. And I think at the end, Joe, after we're done with all of these, I'm gonna take down all the 20-minute casts and edit them all together and put like one edited together video of all of them. Stuff.
Daredevil.
Yeah, one big Daredevil, big Daredevil dick across both of our faces. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you next time. Later.
Peace.